Hello and welcome to episode 532 of the official EstablishTheRun.com podcast. My name is Adam Levitan, as always, joined by Evan Silva. It is officially prospect season. I know this because the NFL's annual combine just went down in Indy, meaning the draft is just 7 weeks away, meaning people were drawing massive conclusions from dudes running around in their underwear. Evan, how's it going today?
It's going really well. We got some news this morning that we can cover. Yes. Derek Carr wound up signing with the Saints. We knew that was going to happen a few days ago, but made it official this morning. We were gathering information, just like the NFL teams were at the combine, and I'm ready to talk some sports.
You may remember from a podcast around this time of year a few years ago, Evan was out drinking late at night with Sean Payton. Unfortunately, Evan was not able to make it to Indy this year for the combine. Evan, any regrets about not making it to the combine? I know it's one of your favorite trips.
Yeah.
Every year you get to see everybody take a picture with the shrimp cocktail at Elmo's or whatever it's called. I've actually never been, but maybe for some people out there who follow the combine on TV, what it's really like being there.
Yeah, my favorite place to hang out is a place called Prime 47, which is like this big circle bar. And like last year when I went, I was waiting to meet up with Jordan Renan, who covers the Giants, and I sat down and like, boom, there's Jack Del Rio, and boom, there's Wink Martindale, and boom, there's Jane Slater, who covers the Cowboys for NFL Network, and it's just it's a great way to meet other people in the industry and also to meet actual NFL personnel.
Yeah, seems like a really cool experience. I've never been. Maybe I'll try to get out there one day. Anyways, on today's show, we're going to cover the news that came out of the NFL combine that happened this past weekend. That means prospect news. But more importantly, I think it was a chance for the media assembled there to talk to all the GMs and coaches that were in Indy and get set for player movement this offseason. We'll also talk a little bit about some of the prospects and some of the athletic testing that went down that I thought was meaningful. Before we get into it today, best ball season never stops. Our friends at Underdog have already launched the Big Board, which is $1 million tournament for the 2023 NFL season that does include rookies. Our rankings for that are up. Also, we just put up rankings for rookies and sophomore only drafts. Those are on Underdog as well. Again, a tournament, a best ball tournament where you can only draft rookies and sophomores. Pretty fun format there. If you don't have an account at Underdog yet, promo code ETR at UnderdogFantasy.com for a $100 matching sign-up bonus. That's promo code ETR at UnderdogFantasy.com. All right. The first quarterback domino has fallen of the offseason. You'll remember Derek Carr was unceremoniously dumped out of Las Vegas organization. I was with the Saints. And Derek Carr was released, so they don't have to wait for the free agency period. They don't have to give up anything for Derek Carr. They do have to sign him to a contract. Looks like it's going to be a 4-year deal. The connection here is that Dennis Allen is now head coach of the Saints. Dennis Allen was the head coach of the Raiders when Carr was drafted in the second round back in 2014. Evan, what do you think about the Saints' decision? But by the way, they have major cap problems, and they're going to have to pay Derek Carr. I don't know where they're going to get money to pay all their guys. But anyways, what do you think of the move by the Saints to sign Derek Carr to be their franchise quarterback?
They just refuse to take a step back. They refuse to rebuild. That's not part of Mickey Loomis's philosophy. Obviously, Dennis Allen was not going to be in favor of that. It's just, the comfort level, I think, wound up being the driving force behind Derek Carr selecting the Saints. And that's because of his connection with Dennis Allen. As you mentioned, from like a fantasy standpoint, I don't think that there's a whole lot to be real excited about. I think that Derek Carr is maybe somewhere between, across the league, number 14 to 17 among the 32 starting quarterbacks. And he's not really a teammate elevator. The Saints have a lot of work to do, I think, in terms of rebuilding their weapons. Their offensive line has taken big steps back over the past couple of years. They still got talent on defense. They can hang in there and be competitive with Derek Carr, but I don't think it's a big-time needle-moving move by any means. And I think from a fantasy standpoint, he's going to continue to be very, very average to below average.
Let me ask you this, because I think if Derek Carr had hit unrestricted free agency, it would have been an interesting discussion. Like, who would you rather have, Geno Smith or Derek Carr? Who would you rather have, Daniel Jones or Derek Carr? Because those are going to be free agents that we'll talk about coming up here over the next couple of weeks. Like, do you think Carr is a better quarterback than Dimes or Geno Smith?
He's never had a season as strong as Geno. There was one year where Derek Carr was sort of, the media was kind of hyping him up as an MVP candidate. He wound up getting injured late in that season and obviously didn't win MVP, averaged a little bit over 7 yards per pass attempt. Geno Smith was way better than Derek Carr ever was, I think, this past season. And then I think you could make the argument that Daniel Jones just has a little bit more untapped upside. I mean, Daniel Jones is still, theoretically on his upward trajectory. And we've kind of seen the best of Derek Carr. I mean, again, he can be an average starter. He can help you stay competitive and not embarrass yourself, but he's not going to make his teammates better.
From a fantasy perspective, the only thing I would add is that Derek Carr has produced some pretty big wide receiver 1 seasons for his guys, including this past year in Devontae Adams. Chris Olave, I mean, would have been my vote for Rookie of the Year, and Garrett Wilson was awesome too. I thought Chris Olave deserved it by a hair, but anyways, Chris Olave could have a really big second-year breakout with Derek Carr. I do think that he's an upgrade on what the quarterbacks were rolling out there for the Saints this past year. And then also we're going to talk about Alvin Kamara here. Also, I think also a little bit better for Alvin Kamara. Let's just get into the Kamara stuff. So Kamara entered a not guilty plea at his arraignment. The charges are conspiracy to commit battery and battery resulting in substantial bodily harm. I'm sure by now everyone has seen the video of what happened in some Las Vegas elevator area where Kamara and a bunch of guys beat up some dude. Now, this video is out. He's entered a not guilty plea. We'll see if this case gets resolved before the season starts. But I think there's major risk right now for people playing best ball that Kamara's going to get suspended and get suspended for a while. His ADP is around 86th overall. Getting Derek Carr, I think, does help. But yeah, there's a lot of smoke around here. I don't know if there's much to say now, Evan, but any thoughts on the Kamara situation?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that we can say concrete now. The video does not look good. We've been waiting on this situation for like a year now. Yeah. He didn't play particularly well last year. Remember, there was weird stuff going on in New Orleans surrounding Alvin Kamara. And I don't really know what to think. I would probably avoid drafting him. Now I have no skin in the game right now because I haven't started drafting. So I want to be transparent about that. But I don't think that I would be looking to draft him we can get a big discount here. I would be very concerned.
Yeah, like I said, ADP around 86th overall. That was right around when the video came out.
That's a little early.
I think it's going to continue to go down as that video circulates more and more. A couple other player notes here. No surprise, but Cowboys expected to put the franchise tag on Tony Pollard. The deadline for that is Tuesday afternoon. We're recording this Monday morning. So both Josh Jacobs and Tony Pollard are expected to get the franchise tag here. Tony Pollard, of course, coming off of that nasty broken leg in the playoffs. Josh Jacobs coming off of the career year. No Derek Carr, though, for him coming back. I think pretty standard no-brainer moves, Evan, to kind of franchise tag running backs. You don't want to make this long-term commitment, particularly to guys like Tony Pollard coming off of a serious injury, or Josh Jacobs, who kind of got it all together for his contract year. So I think pretty no-brainer, sharp moves to go franchise tag here. Any thoughts on Pollard or Jacobs?
Yeah, just hopefully they don't the Cowboys don't bring back Ezekiel Elliott, because we're already starting to see notes and little rumors that Jerry Jones wants to bring back Zeke Elliott, and that would just be an absolute disaster. The Cowboys, I think this would be a smart decision by them to franchise tag Tony Pollard. They have a history of paying players, giving them big long-term contracts immediately after injuries or shortly after serious injuries. And a lot of these have not worked out.
Michael Gallup.
I mean, he did not have a successful season, I would say, this past year. Jalen Smith is another guy they gave a really big deal to after a catastrophic injury. And that dude's out of the league almost. Dak Prescott, they gave a big deal to after his injury. And I think that's worked out fine. But they're not going to take that big risk with Tony Pollard. It makes a lot of sense. Number one, coming off the injury. Number two, because of the position that he plays.
Agreed. Aaron Rodgers has emerged from his darkness retreat. I don't know what this dude's thinking or what he's going to do. I do know that if the Packers don't want him back. It seems like the Jets are all in. I mean, the Jets pulled the Broncos move by getting Nathaniel Hackett. And we talked a little bit about that on the Coaching Change podcast. Yeah, but it seems like the Jets are all in on getting Aaron Rodgers. It seems like those are the two likeliest landing spots, Packers or Jets. Any thoughts on the Rodgers stuff? I know it's all just rumors right now.
Yeah, I just agree with what you said there. It seems like it's going to come down to those two. Is the Nathaniel Hackett thing going to be enough to pull Aaron Rodgers in that direction? I don't know. I think that the talent that they could surround him with, though, I mean, I think their offensive line is going to be better this year. They got some big time young weapons at the receiver position for him. It's weird because he wouldn't be able to jump right into Mike LaFleur's offense. I mean, he just played for his brother. They all run that Shanahanian sort of system. But they needed a fall guy. There was like a scapegoat, and that was going to be Mike LaFleur. And they downgrade with Nathaniel Hackett, I think. But maybe they could come with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, at this point, that would be their best case scenario, obviously.
A big fantasy storyline at the running back position was the Bucs' decision to release Leonard Fournette. Obviously, that looks like a big vote of confidence for Rachaad White. Now, we'll see what they do at the running back position in the offseason, but I do think that it raises the floor-ceiling combo of Rachaad White a ton. We were arguing a little bit internally about where to rank Rachaad White in our best ball rankings right now. I believe we settled on having him in the high 70s, early 80s. I could see Rachaad White being much better than that, but I understand that they're going to add talent to the running back position at some point. What are your thoughts on Rachaad White? We never really got a chance to talk too much about Rachaad White's rookie year, what you thought of it, and anything going forward.
I think that it's easy to start off by poking holes. I mean, I think the Bucs are definitely going to add some talent at the running back position. The extent of that talent remains to be seen. Rachaad White, I thought, had a pretty solid rookie year. I mean, he earned a lot of playing time. That's always good in your first year. He wasn't that great as like a pure runner, but he caught a bunch of passes. We knew that he could play in that aspect of the game, and coming out of college. And he showed that. No Tom Brady. This offensive line has really deteriorated. Do you trust the offensive staff in Tampa Bay at this point? Could this team all of a sudden be get really bad?
Yeah,
I think that's a concern. And then, of course, who are they going to add at the running back position? Because they're definitely going to add someone.
I thought it was encouraging for Rachaad White's rookie year that he earned not specialized role, not, hey, we're going to put you out there on 1st and 10 from the 50. Then we're going to put you out there on 3rd down. No, he was alternating series by series with Leonard Fournette, which allowed him to showcase versatility of talent. I thought he was actually pretty good for a rookie. Of course, as Evan said, the problem is that Tom Brady fit Rachaad White's skill set so well. In other words, you're not going to catch 6, 7, 8 balls in a game from Kyle Trask or whatever they do at quarterback. So we'll see there. But yeah, I like Rachaad White, and I would put James Cook kind of in a similar path. 2nd-year running backs. We'll see what happens with Devin Singletary, who is a free agent. But yeah, I think they're close.
Well, that would be an interesting debate. Who do you like better right now, James Cook or Rachaad White? I think I would definitely go with James Cook, actually.
I mean, the offense is going to be so much better. But yeah, that's part of what we were debating. And I think there's some likelihood that Devin Singletary comes back to the Bills. We'll talk about that in the free agency episodes coming up. Falcons decided to release Marcus Mariota in a predictable move. They saved $12 million against the cap. Mariota, of course, had lost his job to Desmond Ridder. Now, the rumors are that they could make a move for Lamar Jackson. And we'll get into all this Lamar Jackson stuff in the next couple episodes. But there's a chance that the Ravens decide to use the non-exclusive tag on Lamar Jackson, which would allow another team to make him essentially an offer sheet, which the Ravens could match or not. I love the idea of Lamar Jackson on the Falcons with Kyle Pitts and Drake London. I don't think they want to go into next season with Desmond Ridder at their quarterback, but any thoughts on Falcons quarterback situation now that we know Marcus Mariota is officially gone?
Yeah, I think in all likelihood, Desmond Ridder projects as a long-term NFL backup. I mean, that's what typically happens with 3rd-round quarterback selections, and that is what he was coming out of Cincinnati. It does seem like if Lamar Jackson doesn't go back to Baltimore, then Atlanta would be the presumptive favorite to acquire him. I don't know. For me, it's still like a wait and see situation. If they put the non-exclusive franchise tag on him, though, and it sounds like that's maybe the most likely scenario right now, then I mean he's going to be available. Like they're going to be listening to offers, and he should have a major market.
I took Falcons to win the Super Bowl at 100-1.
Nice.
And just because I think if they get Lamar, that'll go to like 30-1 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I like taking shots in the NFC also, where it's so much easier to make a run and get to the Super Bowl. I mean, a lot of the long shot Eagles stuff and the long shot Lions stuff was under the same thesis from last year. NFC is so weak. I mean, so weak. The Falcons get Lamar, all of a sudden, they're one of the best teams in the conference, I think. Yeah. So I don't think that line is out there anymore, maybe, but you might be able to get like an 80-1 or 75-1 or something like that, which I think is interesting if you do think Lamar ends up with the Falcons. One more franchise tag I wanted to mention on the Jaguars stuff. Evan Engram gets the franchise tag. Just played so well in the second half of the season last year. And also, like, I get that you're effectively getting a deal on the franchise tag for tight end because it's so much lower than wide receiver. But Evan Engram did have 438 inline snaps last year, ended up catching 73 balls, 766 yards, 4 touchdowns. Obviously, he's been very inconsistent throughout his career. I think using the franchise tag here makes sense. We're expecting Calvin Ridley to get reinstated and be back with this team also. And so, yeah, you have some pretty good weapons here. Any thoughts on Jaguars' decision to use the tag on Evan Engram?
I think it was pretty predictable. Evan Engram was part of that free agency class where with Jacksonville, by far acquired the most free agents and spent the most money in free agency last year. And I think that Evan Engram was part of that success. They had a lot of success, putting together that free agency class despite a lot of criticism. And Evan Engram wound up being a rock solid pickup. And I think they're doing the right thing by keeping him for another year.
Yep, agreed. Okay. So now I want to get to the portion of the combine that I think people love to talk about. People love to debate. The Dynasty Bros absolutely love it. It is the athletic measurable and size measurable portion of the combine. I want to start with Bryce Young. And everybody was asking, what's Bryce Young going to weigh in at? How tall is he going to be? Officially, Bryce Young is 5'10", 204 pounds. Now, I think he likely bulked up for the combine. I think he'd probably play at less than 200 pounds. This is going to send red flags and shivers up the spine of NFL GMs who do not like to draft quarterbacks high at 5'10", 200 pounds. What do you think about Bryce Young's NFL outlook and how bad will this size stuff hurt him? He's still, I believe, one of the favorites to go number 1 overall.
I think if you watch him play, I mean, he excels from the pocket at the college level. He also had clean pockets. I mean, constantly throughout college, like so many of his like big time highlight reel plays are like, he's kind of waiting for guys to come open. And that's a concern when you get to the NFL. I mean, the shorter quarterbacks, I know it seems narrative-y, but I mean, it's true. Like, Kyler Murray and, the quarterbacks that are limited in terms of size, like they tend to not throw the ball as well in the middle of the field because look, the offensive linemen are really tall and they're really short. And so, that's just something Baker Mayfield has struggled with that, so, I mean, that's definitely a concern. I still think at the top of the draft is super, super wide open. I think Bryce Young is still the very slight favorite. I was just looking at it. He's minus 200 on DraftKings right now. Anthony Richardson is down to 3-1. I know we're going to talk about Anthony Richardson here in a second. I don't know. I just still think it's very, very wide open. I think that CJ Stroud also has something to say. I mean, as a guy where you don't have to worry about his height. I don't know. I think it's a really interesting draft process. We're still like about a month and a half away.
Okay. Let's get to the Anthony Richardson thing because we kind of buried the lead. The lead of the combine was Anthony Richardson going total freak show. Anthony Richardson, 6'4", 244 pounds, ran a 4.44 40, set the NFL combine record for a quarterback by jumping vertically 40.5 inches. Looks like one of the best athletes to ever enter the NFL at the quarterback position. Now, there is so much debate about this, Evan. You cannot even tweet anything about Anthony Richardson without hundreds of people saying, did you even watch the tape at Florida? He sucks. They played some other guy I never heard of over Anthony Richardson because he was so bad. You show the highlight reel. Those are the only good plays. His wide receivers were wide open.
Bad defense. It was bad defense.
Yeah. So I get all that, right? And you guys know me. I'm not a prospect evaluation bro. I am not a scout. I'm not a tape grinder. I do think, though, from a team building perspective, you cannot just ignore some risk reward calculation. It's not, will he be great or will he be bad? Let's say there's a 75% chance he's a total bust and a 25% chance he gets to like Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts level. And by the way, a lot of these same people said a lot of the same things about Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts when they were coming out of college. Also, I get that it looks like there's going to be more opportunity cost on Anthony Richardson now than there was on someone like Jalen Hurts who went in round 2, because now Anthony Richardson is likely going to go in the top 10, if not the top 5. But anyways, I wish people would think of it more probabilistically. And in today's NFL, having a chance to hit the absolute stone cold nuts like a Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts, which aren't even the nuts, but like close to it, they're awesome. I think there's some at least conversation worth having there about a reach, quote unquote, for Anthony Richardson. So what is your take on all the Anthony Richardson testing stuff and all of the controversy somewhat surrounding him in the I guess, draftnik community?
Well, I'm very biased right now because before the combine, I bet Anthony Richardson to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft at 30-1, and now he's down to 3-1.
Yep.
So I'm very, very biased here. But I like going against the I think I would call it the popular narrative that Anthony Richardson just sucks. I mean, you get to the NFL, like Florida had to fire their coach. You get better coaching, you get better facilities, you get like better teammates, better supporting cast. And, all of a sudden, like coaches and a well-run organization can, uplift a player with this kind of raw athleticism and this kind of raw ability. I mean, watch him play. Like you can tell that he has NFL caliber traits. Absolutely. Maybe even number 1 overall pick caliber traits. So, and that was kind of my wager, was that I think a team could fall in love with so many. First of all, so many teams need quarterbacks in the NFL. Sure. I mean, half the freaking league needs a quarterback. And we sort of know that the Bears are trying to trade out, and we know that pick is going to be a quarterback. And we probably know it's going to be one of 3, maybe 4 if you include Will Levis. So it's almost like down to like a 25% chance already that it could be any of these 4 quarterbacks: CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis, and Anthony Richardson. I think it's going to be one of those guys. So I don't know. Again, I'm really, really biased, but I think absolutely from a skill set standpoint, Anthony Richardson is squarely in the mix to be the number 1 overall pick.
And to be clear, I think there's a high likelihood that Anthony Richardson ends up busting. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that he can't be Jamarcus Russell or Terrell Pryor. I'm saying from a team building perspective, like taking shots on guys who can be truly elite, because mediocre quarterback, like the same people who say, and I think Amico tweeted, the same people are like, you can't pay Daniel Jones $40 million. He's just average. Well, yeah, I agree. Paying Daniel Jones 40 or 50 million is probably bad, but that's why you try to hit home runs at the quarterback position. Otherwise you end up with Derek Carr or Daniel Jones or something like that. And by the way, the only other thing I'd add about Anthony Richardson is people assume that no one can get better. And like Evan alluded to, you can get better coaching. I mean, you get better scheming. You can just try harder. Like Jalen Hurts turned himself into an awesome NFL passer. He was a mess in his first year as a passer. Daniel Jones, people said, they said Josh Allen couldn't, he can't even dominate at Wyoming. Look at his completion percentage.
Well, they built the offense at Wyoming around Brian Hill, who I believe is now in the XFL.
Correct. Yes.
They built the off. I mean, Brian Hill would get like 350 carries, and Josh Allen would be like a game manager.
Yep. Justin Herbert's another guy that like a lot of the prospect bros didn't like, and like,
they hated him.
Yeah, and that's not to say that like I'm not trying to like I hate doing like hindsight. You were wrong, because there's a ton that they were right about, and guys are going to bust. My point is that like having such a black and white view of Anthony Richardson's outlook, I think, is a detriment to trying to build
kind of analysis and prognosticative analysis. And I think that you put it right. Think about it probabilistically.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure we'll have a ton more discussion about Anthony Richardson. A couple quarterback notes. Jahmyr Gibbs out of Alabama weighed in at 199 pounds, which is concerning. I think there's not a great history of running backs around or under 200 pounds in the NFL. However, 4.36 speed, and I think teams in today's pass-happy NFL are going to talk themselves into Jahmyr Gibbs in a big way. I think that he's probably the number 2 running back now, beyond Bijan Robinson. Bijan, of course, measured 5'11", 215, 4.46, 37-inch vertical, 10-4 broad. Very clearly one of the better running back prospects we've had in recent memory. Any thoughts on Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan as we get set for official prospect season?
I've seen a lot of Bijan, and I think he's just going to hop right in.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker style, pretty much.
Are you aware that Bijan's best ball ADP, and not rookies and sophomores, overall fantasy ADP right now is like 12th overall? He's going in like the first round.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to jump right in and be an every down back, I think.
Yep.
And then Gibbs, I think, might be eased in more as like a specialist early on.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see where they get drafted. I mean,
right.
Teams are absolutely reticent to take RBs in the first round. I think Bijan probably goes late 1, maybe.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And this is a deep free agent running back class, which we'll get to, and maybe not a great draft running back class beyond Bijan, but a deeper one too. And we'll talk about that as we get closer to the draft. Wide receiver notes, Jordan Addison out of USC, only 173 pounds and ran only a 4.49. Now, I think 173 pounds is a concern on its face, but to only run 4.49 at that light of a weight, I think is a major concern for Jordan Addison. Zay Flowers, 5'9", 182 out of Boston College. Maybe he got himself into round 1 by running a 4.42, but yeah, not a great wide receiver class. I don't think for these guys coming out. We'll talk more about that. Any thoughts on wide
hopefully your favorite team doesn't need a wide receiver this offseason, and the free agent class is just garbage at wide receiver. So
absolutely.
I'm pulling up what Devontae Smith ran coming out, because that's probably going to be a popular comparison for Jordan Addison, like a guy who wins with routes.
Yeah,
is lighter than you'd want him to be. Yeah, I think Devontae Smith was 4.46.
Yeah, so right in that range.
Yeah. Devontae Smith also like won the friggin' Bolitnikoff Award and the Heisman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's got to give one shout out to Penn State. I don't know what happened with Zack Kuntz. I probably should have looked it up before this, but Zack Kuntz left Penn State after the 2020 season to play for Old Dominion. This dude, 6'7", 255, ran a 4.55 at 6'7", 255, and a 40-inch vertical. Somebody who certainly helped himself, probably drafted in kind of that round 3-4 range at the tight end position. I'm always on the hunt for someone I can lose money on who costs $2,500 at the tight end position on DraftKings on a weekly basis. Oh, before we get out of here, Evan, a lot of people have asked me to ask you, what would Evan do with the number 1 overall pick? He's obviously in Chicago, not a Bears fan, but does live in Chicago. They have Justin Fields. They did get the number 1 pick, though, and it's kind of an interesting time to have the number 1 pick because there's not like a slam dunk quarterback or a slam dunk number 1 overall pick for everyone. But anyways, let's say you were the GM of the Bears. What would you do with the number 1 overall pick?
Yeah. I mean, I think that people that say that there's a clear binary answer here are kind of kidding themselves, because I think it is a real you don't plan on getting the number 1 pick very often, right? The number 1 overall pick in the draft. You've got a couple years now past Justin Fields' rookie contract. I mean, that is something to take into consideration, because if they were to take a quarterback at number 1 overall, or even move down a spot or two and take a quarterback and pick up extra ammunition, you're going to be getting that quarterback on a 5-year rookie deal, and that makes a big difference. That was my initial take. It was that I thought that they should actually take a quarterback at 1 or move down a few spots and take a quarterback and trade Justin Fields. I think I've changed my mind on that. They have pumped 2 years of development into Justin Fields. That matters. Justin Fields showed that he could be a super dynamic player last year. He's got ways to go still as a passer. He takes too long to make decisions. He likes to stand in the pocket still. He takes way too many sacks, and that can be a really big red flag. But, I like the chemistry that he showed with Luke Getsy, their new offensive coordinator this past year. And I think that you can build on that. And they have so much money and so much draft capital, and they are going to get more draft capital when they move down, that they can put a really strong nucleus all of a sudden, like quickly, they can put a much stronger nucleus around Justin Fields and feel good about him entering his third season. I think that you keep Justin Fields, but you listen. And if you're Ryan Poles, you absolutely make it sound like you could take a quarterback at number one.
This is like the dream for an NFL GM. You have a completely clean slate. They have an incredible amount. I think they have the most cap space in the entire NFL. They have an incredible amount of draft capital as well. You can put together a team of a ton of guys with a mix of guys on rookie contracts and some overpaying for free agents like the Jaguars did and got their team into the playoffs pretty quickly as well with Trevor Lawrence. The only thing I'd say is that I'm not opposed to having two expensive draft capital quarterbacks on my roster. Like I remember I was in Philly when everybody was on Carson Wentz, everybody liked Carson Wentz, and they took Jalen Hurts. They got killed for using a second round pick on Jalen Hurts when they already had Carson Wentz. I just think you need to take as many swings as you can at quarterback. So if they really like someone, I wouldn't be opposed to taking another quarterback and keeping Justin Fields and letting them compete. I know that sounds really, really crazy, but man, hitting on one. And you could say they already hit on Justin Fields.
It sounds crazy just because like teams never do that.
Yeah.
But it makes a lot more sense. I mean, than I think people would perceive, just because they don't see that happen.
Sure. Yeah. But I don't want to take anything away from Justin Fields. I agree with Evan that you can win with Justin Fields. Justin Fields was super, super, super dynamic and explosive last year, particularly with his legs, obviously. And honestly, it's hard to evaluate as a thrower. I mean, his number one option in a lot of games was freaking Cole Kmet. I mean, I know Darnell Mooney is fine, but man, it was, tough. So yeah, we'll see what the Bears decide to do. All right. Appreciate you all being here. We're going to have a ton more podcasts throughout the offseason. Be sure you are subscribed. All these podcasts are free. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you are on iTunes or some other podcast platform, hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any episodes going forward. Also, NBA season, couple months left. Be sure if you are interested, you're checking out DFS and props there. XFL season is in full swing and major season is coming in golf. All of that, details for all that available on the site under the subscribe tab. For Evan, for producer Luke, I'm Adam. Good luck, everybody.